Hey guys, today I'll be taking a look at the best case scenario for President Joe Biden in the 2024 presidential election. So this is definitely possible scenarios. Right now, Joe Biden is pretty popular, riding on his wave of support that he's gotten from his handling of the coronavirus. If you look at his coronavirus approval rating right now, it is staggeringly high. 59% of Americans approve of him, while 36% disapprove. That's a plus 23 net approval for Joe Biden on his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, on his job approval in general, he currently has an average of 53.7% approve to an average 42.2% disapprove, giving him an average of 11.5% in the positive for his approval rating. And this is better than Barack Obama's approval rating during most of his 8 years. And if you look at how this data has changed, Joe Biden's approval rating has stayed pretty consistent throughout the last couple of months. He has basically had around a 53 to 54% approval on average, while his disapproval has definitely gone up, but that was expected. 36% is very low, but as more voters made up their minds, many of the independents and Republicans that did decide to give Biden a chance, they are now starting to disapprove of him a little bit more. However, 11.5% is still pretty strong, and if you compare this to the 2020 presidential election numbers, Joe Biden only defeated Donald Trump by 4.5%. The polls were, of course, pretty much off by around 3 to 4 points. However, for Joe Biden winning the election by 4.5%, just 51.4% of the vote, he is currently much more popular than his popularity during the general election, which is why his approval is higher than the amount of votes that he actually won. So, taking a look at the best case scenario here for Joe Biden, I want to start out by filling in the solid states for the president. The West Coast, they're all going to be very, very solid for President Biden. The state of Hawaii as well. I would also include the states of Colorado and New Mexico. So, looking at these two states, the reason why I'm putting Colorado as a solid state is because in 2016, the state of Colorado was 4.9% for Hillary Clinton. Clinton also won New Mexico by 8.2%. Now, fast forward to 2020, Biden wins Colorado by 13.5%, up from 5% to 13.5%. This state is a state that is still consistently shifting to the left. I think in 2024, even if Joe Biden doesn't do as well, I think that definitely a solid margin in Colorado is very, very likely for the current president. Now, this, of course, is a best case scenario, which is why I'm putting New Mexico as a solid state. It did only go to Joe Biden by 10.8% in 2020. However, in 2008, when he was on the ticket with Barack Obama, they won the state of New Mexico by 15.1 percentage points. So I think definitely New Mexico in a solid margin is within Biden's reach in this best case scenario for him. So I'm going to have both of these states be solid states. On top of that, I have the state of Illinois and the state of Virginia. So Virginia is another little bit of a surprise, I think. So in the state of Virginia, Joe Biden won in 2020 by 10.1%. If you look at the numbers from 2016, it was 5.3%. And this was when Tim Kaine, Clinton's running mate, was a senator from Virginia. He's still serving the Senate representing Virginia, Tim Kaine. But this 5.3% margin was terrible. Joe Biden improved off of it without having really any sort of connection to the state. And he wins Virginia by 10.1%, which I think in 2024, with this state still, like states like Colorado and New Mexico, Virginia is shifting to the left, with Northern Virginia becoming more and more blue. This used to be a GOP stronghold, but it no longer is. However, in the state of Virginia, this 10.1% could easily go over 15% in 2024. So this would give Joe Biden another 13 electoral votes. These northeastern states, of course, they're all almost always solid for the Democratic Party. They were not the best for Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton did quite poorly here. However, Joe Biden was able to bring those margins back up, because if you look at the 2016 map, you saw many states that Hillary Clinton did pretty poorly in. States like Maine, Hillary Clinton did horrible in Maine. New Hampshire, she only won by 0.3%, which is, inconceivable for Joe Biden. The state of Connecticut, 13%, New Jersey, 14%, Delaware, only 11% in a state like Delaware, and then Oregon, only 11%. But in 2020, Joe Biden wins Oregon by 16 percentage points, Connecticut by 20%, New Jersey by 15%, and Delaware by 19%. So Joe Biden definitely improved off of Hillary Clinton's margins in these very solid blue states, and there's no reason to think that Joe Biden won't do this again in 2024. So this gives Joe Biden 208 electoral votes from his solid states. As for President Trump, there are quite quite a few solid states for him as well. But before we get to that, make sure you join my Discord server if you have not. The link to which is at the very top of the description below. So, taking a look at the solid states for the former president, Idaho, Wyoming, definitely solid states. Utah, I'm going to give it to Donald Trump as a solid state. He proved that he can still do very well here. Evan McMullin, of course, won a pretty significant amount of the votes here in 2016. However, Donald Trump, I think 2024 won't have too much of a problem winning Utah by a solid margin. North and South Dakota, definitely solid states. If you look at the margins here, just in 2020 alone, it's very, very unlikely that these two states go under even 20%. Utah at 20.5%. That one is a little bit closer. For the rest of these states, they're also quite solid. But I will be giving Donald Trump most of the South, Oklahoma, very, very red, as well as most of Nebraska, so the at-large vote, as well as the 3rd District. It's going to remain pretty red. The 3rd District of Nebraska is the reddest district in the entire country. The state of Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia. This will make up the only solid states for President Trump on this map. 74 electoral votes from solid states for Trump to 208 for Joe Biden. Now, I'm going to fill in some of the likely states because these are states that there's no way that Donald Trump is going to lose these states. It's like Hillary Clinton in 2016 when, of course, she did win states like Connecticut and New Jersey. They weren't solid margins, but there was no doubt that she was going to win those states. So this is like that for Donald Trump. Donald Trump not winning a solid margin in Kansas, but everybody knew he was going to win that state. So these states in 2020, in 2024, sorry about that, but in 2024, states that Donald Trump will win by a solid margin are not a solid margin, a likely margin, but these are states that there's no way he's not going to win them. These are pretty much shoo-ins for him. Montana, definitely. So in 2020, Montana was a 16.4% margin for President Trump. I think definitely if Biden does better in 2024, this state, which is moving to the left, believe it or not, the state of Montana can definitely get a little bit more blue and go under the 15% mark for Donald Trump. Missouri as well. Missouri was barely a solid state. And the state of Mississippi, 16.5%. So these couple of states I will be filling in for Donald Trump as likely states on this map. He's now at exactly 100 electoral votes. The 1st District of Nebraska as well, it's going to be likely once again like it was in 2020. We also have the state of Indiana, which I do believe will be a likely state. I do not believe that Donald Trump will want Mike Pence ever again. I think that what happened at the insurrection at the Capitol completely damaged the relationship. Although they are still on good terms, I do not feel as if that they will serve together ever again. So in the state of Indiana, Indiana was a very solid state for Donald Trump in 2016, won it by 19 points. In 2020, it did decrease and went down to 16 points. However, Mike Pence was on the ticket, and Mike Pence is pretty popular among Republicans and independents in the state of Indiana, very conservative state. But without Mike Pence on the ticket and Joe Biden doing better in 2024 with this popularity right now, I think definitely that this state will not be solid for Donald Trump in 2024. And my final likely state is the state of South Carolina, the home state of Lindsey Graham. This was a state that Donald Trump was able to win by just 11.7% in 2020. It's not going to go over 15%. I don't think it's going to go under 7%. So the state of South Carolina is going to remain as a likely state for the president. Now, there are quite a few likely states for Joe Biden as well. I'm going to start off with the state of Minnesota. This was a 7% margin for Joe Biden in 2020. 2024, this state is still relatively blue, although the Rust Belt in general is very, very slowly shifting to the right. Minnesota will definitely remain a likely state in this scenario for President Biden. As well as that, the state of New Hampshire, although the Senate race in 2022 here, if Christine Sununu runs, it will be close. But on the presidential level, if you have Biden versus any Republican that doesn't have any sort of connection with the state of New Hampshire, it's going to be a likely margin for Joe Biden. Of course, this state was disastrous for Hillary Clinton in 2016, won it by 0.3%. The state of New Hampshire, and Donald Trump has no connection to the state of New Hampshire. But 2020, Joe Biden wins it by 7.4%. So he really saves the state of New Hampshire for the Democratic Party. That will be a likely state, as well as the at-large vote in Maine. I believe will also be likely, giving him another 2 electoral votes. And along with that, the 2nd district of Nebraska, I think, will be likely for him as well. This is not a traditionally blue district. If you look back, Republicans have typically won district. 2008, Barack Obama was able to flip it, winning it by 1.3%. 2012, it went red by 7%. Then in 2016, Trump wins it by 2.2%. And then in 2020, Joe Biden wins the 2nd district of Nebraska by 6.6%. I think definitely 2024, it will go over 7%. So this gives Joe Biden now another 1 electoral vote, now 224. And those are really the final likely states that I can give him. As for lean states now for President Trump, 121 electoral votes. I'll add 3 to that by giving him the state of Alaska. I think the state of Alaska can definitely go red. Will definitely go red in 2024, but the margins here just aren't the same anymore for the Republican Party. You go back 2008, 21% for John McCain. Then 2012, 14%. 2016, around the same 14%. But 2020, it was just 10%. 2024, it could definitely go under 7%, especially if Donald Trump continues to remain unpopular in the state. So that will give Donald Trump now 124 electoral votes. And then for Joe Biden, he has quite a few lean states as well. The state of Nevada, starting off with the state of Nevada and the state of Arizona. I think that these 2 states are both states that Joe Biden can win with a lean margin. The state of Nevada, Joe Biden did win with a lean margin in 2021 by 2.4%, the same margin as Hillary Clinton. The state of Arizona, Kyrsten Sinema and Mark Kelly both able to win their races here. I think that as this state continues to shift to the left just demographically in 2024, it's definitely within reach for Joe Biden to win Arizona by a lean margin, just like he did, or not just like he did, but he did win Arizona in 2020. I think he'll be able to win it again, and with a stronger margin this time in 2024. So this puts Joe Biden up at 242 electoral votes. I actually want to give Donald Trump some states now. I want to give him the states of Iowa and Ohio. I'm going to put both of these states as tilt states on this map. I think definitely they could be lean. They have the potential to be lean, but these 2 states, they can still flip back. They're not solidly red states. I think that definitely was only Donald Trump that could do well here. You saw other Republicans do well, but Donald Trump was really the one that changed it for these 2 states. But I think that in 2024, the margin can definitely go down. So Iowa and Ohio, I'm going to put as tilt states for the former president, giving him now 147 electoral votes. Some other lean states for Joe Biden, I have the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. These 3 states, Michigan was lean in 2020, Pennsylvania was 1.2%, and Wisconsin 0.66%. 2024, it's definitely possible that Joe Biden makes up a couple percentage points in these 3 states and wins all 3 of them with lean margins. So Joe Biden now has crossed 270 electoral votes. There are now quite a few tilt states I have on this map for Joe Biden. I think Georgia would be a tilt state. The Republicans there are making it harder and harder for people to vote, especially those in majority black communities. You know, what you saw with the recent bill that Brian Kemp signed. So Brian Kemp is no angel, but in the state of Georgia, I think it's going to be tilt. But I think that with the Democrats doing so well there, and I do think that Stacey Abrams, if she runs in 2022, will be able to unseat Brian Kemp. Brian Kemp has lost support from Republicans. He has lost support from Democrats too now. So Brian Kemp, I really think that he would be very, very weak, especially considering the fact that he barely won against Stacey Abrams in 2018. So the state of Georgia tilt for Joe Biden. Along with that, North Carolina as well. You saw with North Carolina, it was just a 1.3% margin for Donald Trump. In 2016, this was a 3.7% margin. So it was cut into a third. And in 2024, it's definitely possible that Joe Biden flips this state back. Now, of course, this is a best case scenario for Joe Biden, so I will also be giving him the 2nd District of Maine by a tilt margin, as well as the state of Florida. Now, the state of Florida, I think that this is definitely one of the harder ones to give him, but it's definitely possible. He currently is pretty popular nationwide. In the state of Florida, it is still a swing state. Although Republicans, they do sometimes do better, sometimes they do worse, like you saw in 2008. Obama won Florida by 2.8%. Donald Trump's now 3.4% margin here isn't that much bigger. It's definitely retrievable for Joe Biden. He can definitely win this state back in 4 years. And I think that if he continues to work, on winning the state back, winning back Miami-Dade County by a stronger margin, like we saw with Hillary Clinton in 2016, he can definitely do well because he gained a lot of support from other metro areas which are less populated by Latino and Cuban voters, but it was really in southern Florida where he had trouble. I think he can definitely improve off of that, do some more rallies there. So the state of Florida, 3.4% for Donald Trump in 2020. It can definitely flip, and of course, this is a best case scenario for Joe Biden. So I'm giving him Florida and the state of Texas. Now, the state of Texas, the reasoning behind this here is Donald Trump has been horrible for the state of Texas. You can go back. Texas has not voted blue since 1976 with Jimmy Carter. Carter won Texas by 3.2% over Gerald Ford. This was the final time ever the Democrats won Texas, as well as many of these deep southern states. The next time there was a southerner that ran, that was Bill Clinton in 1992 and 1996. He was able to win, this entire line down here along the Mississippi. However, these southern states were never the same again. Texas even as well. But in 2008, you saw it was 11% for Texas, but in 2012, you saw 16% for Mitt Romney. Then in 2016, 9% for Donald Trump. 2020, 5.6% for Donald Trump. Donald Trump has decreased the margin here by 10% over the last 2 elections. 2024, if that trend continues, Joe Biden will win the state of Texas. And this state, it is still shifting to the left. This is not a state that is moving to the right. Its trend is in line with the rest of the Sun Belt here, which is why I'm flipping so many of these states, while Republicans do continue to do a little bit better in the Midwest. So this gives Joe Biden 391 electoral votes, and Donald Trump 147 electoral votes. So this is the best case scenario right now for Joe Biden. And I think definitely if Joe Biden wins 53% of the vote, he can definitely do this. He's probably going to win more because he is the incumbent, and typically incumbents do gain more of the undecided votes. So he will probably win, 53, 54, maybe even 55% in a scenario like this if he uses his approval rating, which is why I think that if he wins by this percentage, even just 53.7%, this map is very, very possible for Joe Biden. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to like it down below if you enjoyed it. Comment down below what you think Joe Biden's best case scenario would look like, or which states on this map you think I called wrong. Subscribe to my channel if you have not. Join my Discord server, the link to which is at the very top of the description below. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.